This is Cashflow Ninja, episode 275 with Jason Medley.
Welcome to the Cashflow Ninja, the podcast sharing how to create income streams and manage, multiply, and protect your wealth in the new economy. Here is your host inside the dojo, MC Laubscher.
Hello, Cashflow Ninjas. MC Laubscher here, and welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Ninja. I have a great show for you today, and in today's show, we're going to look at how to use the power of masterminds to take your business and life to the next level. My guest in this episode is Jason Medley. Jason is the CEO and founder of the Collective Genius Mastermind. The Collective Genius brings together 110 of the nation's top real estate investors on a quarterly basis to brainstorm about housing market changes and to share the most intimate secrets, strategies, resources, and systems. Through this sharing, the members of the Collective Genius thrive regardless of housing market changes or economic fluctuations and live life freely on their own terms by their own rules. The Collective Genius members create businesses together. They lend and borrow money from each other for deals. They join as financial partners to blow up self-directed retirement accounts with tax-free dollars. They maximize profit dollars by systematizing inefficiencies. They share inventory sources. They engage in joint ventures on educational products, and above all else, they figure out how to do it while they still have control of their own time. Please share your feedback and thoughts on today's interview. You can let me know your thoughts on Twitter by tweeting me at MC Laubscher or by email at info@cashflowninja.com. And please remember to join our mailing list by signing up at cashflowninja.com or texting Cashflow Ninja to 44222. I'm publishing weekly and daily videos on YouTube. You can check out all of my videos at youtube.com/Cashflow Ninja. Please subscribe to my channel to get updates when I post these videos. Life settlement investments have allowed financial and banking institutions to not only buy their equity contractually, but also diversify their capital from any economic, market, and geopolitical risk. It's been part of the billion-dollar blueprint followed by institutional investors. And if you are an accredited investor, you can also now participate in this vehicle with enormous growth potential. You can watch an informational webinar presented by one of the premier organizations providing life settlement investments, Penumbra Solutions, at cashflowninja.com/life settlements. Blockchain technologies and cryptocurrencies will not only disrupt money, but every industry on the planet. These new innovations and technologies will affect every area of our lives in the future. The cryptocurrency course teaches you everything you need to know about getting started and profiting with cryptocurrencies and includes expert training from the top crypto experts in the world. You'll learn how to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrencies, how to safely store your crypto, how to become a sound investor, even if you're just a beginner, and how to apply blockchain technology to your business. You can watch a free crypto masterclass and grab the crypto course at cashflowninja.com/crypto course. The wealthiest investors on the planet know how to capture their wealth and leverage it to perpetually grow it. If you're interested in learning the premier strategies of the wealthiest individuals and families on the planet, you can access your free webinar at cashflowninja.com/be-the-bank. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you, MC. Excited to be here. Looking forward to serving you and your listeners today, and I think we'll have some fun and hopefully in the process help some people make some money.
Absolutely. Very, very excited to connect. Can you please share a little bit about your background and your journey with my listeners?
So my name is Jason Medley. I'm 45 years old, middle-aged as they would call it. I don't feel like it though. I feel good, baby. I feel like I'm right where I'm supposed to be. But with that said, again, 45 years old. I live here in sunny Tampa, Florida, originally from Louisville, Kentucky, moved to Florida about 22 years ago. I have an awesome wife named Jennifer, beautiful little girl named Ava. My background from a business perspective is I currently run an organization called the Collective Genius Mastermind. It's a mastermind specifically niched for high-level real estate investors. Not just, somebody who's flipped their first house. We're typically looking for a minimum of at least 50 transactions a year, and some of our biggest members are doing north of 700. So, that's what I do professionally. It's something I love, something I'm passionate about. It gives me an opportunity to serve people and in the process help them grow in many ways, not just financially or business-wise, but we try to put as much emphasis at the Collective Genius on who you are becoming, not just what you are doing. And so, the way that CG started from a background perspective is I've been in real estate and finance since 2000. So I guess going on about 18 years now. Started out as a retail mortgage broker. Things were good, right? I thought I was the bomb.com. The market was good. I was kicking butt, had my own shop. We had like 15 mortgage brokers in there. I lived in Florida. Florida was exploding, and then it imploded, and so did I. And that's when I got my lesson that I was not the bomb. I was not that good. My business was being driven by a market, a hot market. And so, but every curse is usually a blessing when looked at correctly. And so that is when I became a student of marketing, because when the market crashed, I realized I didn't know how to really generate a lead or a customer, right? And so I went through some tough times there for a while, lost the mortgage business, I went through a divorce, the whole 9 yards, kind of hit the zero button. And in an effort to really figure out what was next for me, like what do I do with my skill set? I've been a mortgage broker for at that time, I think it was 7-8 years. And so I started negotiating short sales when they were rampant for real estate agents. Because that's every house was like upside down in Florida, right? And so that did not last long. I despised it. And the reason was I'm a people pleaser. And no matter how good you do a job or a task or create an outcome, when they take forever, like short sales did, you just couldn't make people happy. You just couldn't make the agent who referred us the deal to negotiate. You couldn't make them happy. And so I started studying a little bit and saw the guys who were flipping short sales, and got into becoming a student of that. And I didn't have any money, and you could flip short sales with what were called dry funds, right? You could use the end buyer's money to fund your deal, and so I got into that because I needed to. Didn't have any money. I'd hit the zero button. And as soon as I got a rhythm of doing that, MC, and started to gain some traction, the lenders and title companies began changing the rules, right? You have to actually bring money to closing. If you're going to buy a property for $200,000 and resell it for $250,000, you actually have to bring the $200,000. You can't use the end buyer's money. So that turned everything upside down. I had a transaction I was negotiating for $402,000, selling it for $495,000 the same day. And I got that call like, hey, you actually got to bring the $402,000. And I was like, I don't have $402,000. And so I told the title agent, I still remember to this day, her name is Barb. I was like, Barb, we have a problem. And she said, no, honey, you have a problem. Again, another time when a curse turned into a blessing, I called a friend up. We were kind of at the forefront of this. I said, I need $402,000. And, he was, probably worth about $30 million at the time. And I said, I just need it for a couple of hours. And so he's like, well, obviously first question was, what kind of return am I going to get? And I said, well, I'll send you back $8,400, 2 points, if I can borrow it for a couple of hours. And so everything went smooth. I borrowed the money. I flipped the house. I got a fat check. He got back 2 points inside of a matter of hours. And of course, he was addicted at that point. He's like, hey, can we make this into a business? And so at that point, that's exactly what we did. We were kind of one of the forefathers of what's called transactional funding. It's dough for a day. It's money for one day. And we grew a very robust business around that. It was called iVisionary Financial for about 4 years. We were lending anywhere between 75 to 105 million. And it was a great business. We filled the gap for the investor who had a model. It got broken. We came in and fixed it. We provided that money. It was great for us because we were getting 2 points a day on capital, which is just, debauchery at its finest. It was just great for everyone. And so kind of after the crash, that's the business that got me back on my feet. And, how the Collective Genius was really born, MC, is the way that we would educate about our funding platform is I would hold webinars, right? And so we would bring a client in and have that client talk about case study, the deal, right?
Right.
And so we would educate our audience. We'd have these webinars, educate our audience, and we'd tell them how to get the deal, negotiate deal, case study based. And then we'd say, when you get the deal, come to us and we'll fund it. Right. And so I developed a core set of customers who I knew were borrowing a lot of money from me. And a friend of mine, I was in another mastermind with, suggested that I start one for real estate investors. And, it was kind of a side gig for a little while there. I asked my best customers to get into a room with me and exchange ideas. And that little side gig has now turned into a 7-year-old, super strong, very core value-based mastermind that provides, I would like to think, epic value for our current customers.
It absolutely does. I mean, I've heard raving reviews from everyone that's in there, and a lot of past guests are a part of it as well. Let's take a step back quick and talk about masterminds. During your journey, what kind of role did they play? And share a little bit about the first mastermind that you joined back in the day.
I was actually physically attending a mastermind when a friend of mine suggested that I start one for real estate investors. As I told you, I held webinars and did internet marketing, digital marketing to grow our customer and audience base for the funding business. And so I was at a mastermind driven around marketing, right? Digital marketing. Right. And so I was in that with a friend of mine. You may know him, heard of him. Probably a lot of your listeners have. Kent Clothier. Yep. He and his family are huge turnkey providers. And so we were sharing a room together, and because quite honestly, at that time I needed to. And then he's just like, why don't you are positioned. You have the audience. You have high-level customers borrowing money. Why don't you start something like this for our space, right? Because there are masterminds that are not niched. It doesn't matter what you do, you can go to them. Yeah. And there are masterminds that are niched where everyone shares a commonality. And so, I took that idea, and like I said, at first it was a great group, right? When you're in a mastermind that shares the people in it share a commonality. And to me, in my opinion, there's so much additional leverage there outside of groups where everybody's, you got a dog groomer, a dentist, whatever. There's so much more commonality and leverage when everybody's in the same niche. And we were all kind of in the same little niche. And so a mastermind, you get together, you share systems and strategies and resources with each other. And then that's kind of the give part of it. And the take is, okay, that's great, but I got problems. I got issues. I got challenges. And, the entrepreneurial walk can be incredibly lonely at times, my friend. Right. So to walk into a room and where people are like you, they resonate with you, and they not only share your problems, but many of them have been where you're at, already fixed that issue, and can now provide mentorship and give you systems and strategies and resources to fix those problems. This is invaluable, Right. Long and short of it is, if you've ever heard of Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill studied the biggest titans in industry, and he said the single biggest factor that those titans of industry said that contributed to their success was the mastermind, right? The Carnegies, right. The Firestones, the Chases of the world. And so it really does have a huge impact. And then typically, if it's a room full of people who are doing the same thing, there's so much leverage from a deal flow perspective, right? People buying houses, selling houses, lending money, borrowing money, doing syndications together. One guy's a turnkey provider, and another guy's building a portfolio. So, hey, you're my buddy. I see you every quarter. I'm going to buy my houses from you. There's just so much deal flow and joint venture opportunity, right? And then even a step further, when the group gets big enough, it can provide purchasing power for its members. Right. So perfect example with CG is we team up to our members on a monthly basis might drop 3 million postcards. So we go out and leverage that to find the mail house who can slash their costs.
Right.
Yep. And so Mastermind, you share information, you solve each other's problems. There's deal flow, there's joint ventures, there's purchasing power that will slash your operating costs. There's just so many powerful elements associated and so that was kind of my first experience with being in a mastermind. It kind of happened when I was there that a friend of mine said, hey, you should do this, and it was really kind of a side project,
right?
Because on that funding business I was telling you about, it began to get regulated and the rules changed, and it started to get the noose around its neck because lenders said you'd had to hold the short sales for 30 days. And so I took my foot off the gas to that and on the foot of this, and here we are. But I would encourage anyone who's listening, no matter what field you're in, whether you're a financial planner, real estate investor, whatever you do, there's a mastermind out there for you that it'll totally change the trajectory of your business.
Absolutely. And I like the ones too where there is in fact a barrier to entry, right? It's either a paid one or in this case with yours is that there has to be a certain level of production, because that will attract the right people and get the right people in the room. Otherwise, there's a lot of folks that'll just come and linger, basically, right? In each and every industry. So then in the room you've got really producers and creators and guys that are out there doing this, and that in itself provides more value for everyone inside it, right?
Yeah, because typically a mastermind, a good mastermind is usually going to have a significant investment associated with it, right? Which in and of itself is a barrier to entry, but it also, that significant investment also, it's not always true, but by and large, it gives you an understanding that you're going to be in a room, full of potential players. A good mastermind too is not only going to spur you professionally, a good mastermind is also going to spur you personally.
Right.
So anybody that's thinking about joining one, I would look at that component as well.
Yep. The relationship capital, I've spoken about the wealth formula I've learned from one of my mentors. With your mental capital combined with your relationship capital turns into your financial capital at that stage. And a mastermind really, really will set it on fire and lead to the next one in relationship capital, a mentor or a coach, right? Because there's always people playing at a higher level whatever mastermind you're attending.
Yeah. And two, the other thing I think that I would caution anybody, you can get into a spot where you think like, I pretty much got it figured out, right?
Right.
You will be humbled. When you step foot into the right mastermind, you will more often than not, in a lot of cases, walk out with your tail between your legs because, and here's the beautiful part of it, right?
Yep.
A good mastermind has a good culture, which, you gotta, we make everybody check their egos at the door.
Right.
Because I might have a guy in there that does 75 deals a year and another guy does 750. I can promise you there are things that person doing 75 deals can teach the person doing 750 and vice versa. Right.
Right.
It's just, it's a humbling experience. You can get in your own little cocoon thinking you got everything figured out and I'm good. And then you can walk into the right mastermind and just be floored at, you might be, you're behind the 8 ball over here, or they're doing what I do, but they're doing it so much better and more efficient and cost it. It's a humbling experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And and you guys kind of connect folks within the group as well. So for instance, if the one guy has a real strength and they're doing well, and the other one kind of has a weakness in that area, you can combine folks too to help each other. Yeah,
I'll give you a real life example of that. First of all, I think that's part of what makes our organization extremely effective. Because here's the harsh reality of it. You can take a bull, put them up in front of the room, A-type personality, hard charging. They get up in front of the room. They go through what we call a hot seat, right?
Yep.
What do they need help with? everybody, I can help you with this, I can help you with that. And nobody writes anything down, right? And so we operate from an intentional standpoint to physically manifest and create those connections, right? And so I'll give you a perfect example of what that looks like, because I really think like the caliber of person in a mastermind can take it's somewhere on the 0 to 9 rating scale. But what makes it a 10, at least in my opinion, is the level of intentionality that those connections are made, right?
Right.
And so I just got off the phone with a gentleman a little bit earlier, a gentleman named Clint out of Indianapolis. He does about 250 deals a year, right? In the turnkey space, been in the business about 8 years. No direct-to-seller marketing, 0. No direct mail, no pay-per-click, no nothing, right?
Right.
Probably coming to see. So when he comes to Collective Genius, right? I mean, the guy's got a great business considering he's doing no seller direct marketing, right?
Right.
But when he comes into the Collective Genius and he talks about his challenges of, I'm not doing any seller direct marketing, I need to get ramped up. I already know I can say to him, hey, I'm going to put you together with Frank Cava. He's a master as far as seller direct marketing on the direct mail side. I'm going to get you the best list that you can get with predictive analytics to determine who's going to sell their house. We can get you plugged and played right away with pay-per-click by putting you with someone in our organization that's already managing 80 of our members' accounts, right? But it's not all talk. We write. At each person that goes up there through that hot seat, we write it down, and then when everyone goes home the next week, we manifest those connections, right?
Right.
Put those text messages together. I take Clint and put him on a text with Frank, and we've summarized what the need was and how Frank is going to provide the solution. And we tell him to set an appointment. And so, we absolutely, that's our, that's what separates us. That's what, and it's bigger than that too, right? When you're building a mastermind, you're creating a community, you're building a family, and that what creates that cohesion and that stick factor and that trust and that camaraderie is, wow, I got on the phone with that person. They gave me 2 hours of their time. It's going to make a big impact on my business. And they did it willingly and lovingly.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we are connection for us is huge. We do not allow it to happen on accident.
Right.
A lot of masterminds do, and they're still valuable, even if they don't have that same level of intentionality. But man, we take meticulous notes on every single member, what their needs are. And then it takes almost 2 days when we get home for our team to actually do all of those connections,
And also with guys in the room from all over the country, are there international folks part of Collective Genius as well?
We have a few.
Okay.
But by and large, it's mostly, folks from all across the country. Ours is somewhat, in addition to, price point barrier, volume barrier, 50 deals at a minimum. We also we try to create an environment of territorial protection.
Okay.
If somebody's in Chattanooga, Tennessee, we don't let someone else in from Chattanooga, Tennessee, unless that member says I'm okay with it. Right.
Gotcha.
It's by and large mostly U.S. driven folks.
And that helps you guys keep a handle on exactly what's going on in all the markets and kind of communicating. So you have an idea of nationally what's going on, which ties into my next question. What are you seeing out there in the real estate market, this national market? And is there any specific things that we should watch in any particular markets that you're keeping your eye on?
I think the market, obviously markets are localized animals. But by and large, I think things are hyper competitive as from an investing standpoint. Some things that I see are a lot of people who are recapitalizing their portfolios or selling. Like, I'll give you an example. One of my members, Mike, in Arizona, Phoenix, lots of appreciation, but cap rates are kind of getting compressed there, so his rentals aren't giving the same return. So he's selling out a bunch of his rentals, right? Taking all that appreciation, reinvesting them, for example, like in the Midwest, where he's going to get a better cap rate.
Right.
And so see a lot of push in the Midwest for rentals, turnkey properties. I think that other insights that I see are it is getting, again, hyper competitive. The biggest trend right now in lead generation for investors is outbound dialing, right? I mean, it's gone back to straight up old school, right?
Cold calling it.
Yeah. I mean, you want to cold call clearly a targeted list, but it's like the more competitive the market gets for the investor, the more old school the lead generation becomes.
Right.
You know, it's a very identifiable cycle. But I think, I mean, the market is good. I don't think that the slight uptick in rates is having any major impact or is going to set off some bomb. I feel pretty good about it. Now, with that said, you know, you can't get market drunk. You need to be very careful and very calculated at all times. You know, I personally used to lend a bunch of hard money, and I'm kind of pulling back right now. The market seems, you know, a little frothy to me, and I'm saying, hey, I want to get more into set it and forget it rentals, financing rentals, and putting the money to work for longer term plays and so forth. So I think the market overall is good, but at the same time, you know, I think you got to be careful.
Yeah,
you got to be calculated. I'm a big fan of the tortoise. The tortoise does beat the hare.
Right.
At least in this stage of the market. You know, 5 years ago, maybe a little different. But right now, things are rich.
You're listening to Jason Medley on the Cashflow Ninja podcast. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. This is MC Laubscher, the host of the Cashflow Ninja podcast. As you may know, I'm also the president and chief wealth strategist of Valhalla Wealth Financial. We help individuals, families, small businesses, entrepreneurs, and professionals build their wealth outside of Wall Street and help investors maximize the use of every dollar in their personal economy and boost their investment gains. We do this by combining the capital and investments with the financial vehicle of the wealthy according to the infinite banking concept. If you're interested to learn more about privatized banking and the infinite banking concept, you can access an exclusive webinar at cashflowninja.com/be the bank. You're listening to Jason Medley on the Cashflow Ninja podcast, and now back to our interview. To touch on something that you said earlier in our discussion was that your early success, as you mentioned, was driven by the market that you were in when you're in the mortgage industry. And then you learned a big lesson out of that. So that ties kind of into my next question, now that we've touched on the markets too, that there is a set of investing principles and an investing philosophy. What is your investing principles and your philosophy, and is there a checklist that you refer to and make decisions from when you're looking at deals? There is. I actually have when I'm looking at making deals, and I'm a little bit spoiled running an organization like this. I have way more access to deal flow than I have money to deploy. Right? We have about 115 members, and so I'm a little bit spoiled. But for me, I've always been on the financial side. I don't own any hard assets. I don't have rental property. I've always been on the lending side of it. Right? But for me, I'm at a point now where I only really lend inside of our organization. So first of all, I got to know you, like you, and trust you, right? Right.
That's important. Secondly, it's really a matter of looking at evaluating risk, right? Because that way people, well, what are your lending parameters? Well, if you're looking for money on a rental in Columbus, Ohio, that's $35,000, and you need to put 10 in it, and it's going to throw off $750 in cash, and you're a member of the Collective Genius, I'll lend you the whole $45,000. I'll do 100% purchase and rehab costs because it's only $45,000, right? And I can make a 12% return on that amortized over 5 years. I'm comfortable with it. If it goes bad, it's $45,000.
Right.
And so for me, I'm careful, but here's the way that I would kind of systematize this, right? It must start with a system. I wouldn't invest in anything that deviates from my core business unless my core business is systematically driving itself to create predictable, consistent, repeatable income on a month in and month out basis. right?
Right.
Because if it's not related to your core business, that means you have a lot to learn. And you cannot learn one business while you're still trying to get one predictable, consistent, and repeatable from an income perspective, right? Secondarily, any opportunity I look at, first question typically most people ask when they're looking at an investment is, what is it going to make me? My first question typically, at least at this stage of my life, right? I'm growing more and more risk averse. It's what's it going to cost me, right?
Right.
And that's an encompassing global picture, not just money wise and time invested, but it's time invested. It's, what does that cost me on a personal basis? Okay, great, we can make an extra $2 million next year, but does that mean I have to stop taking my little girl to school a couple times a week and putting her to bed every night? Yep. I don't care. I ain't interested, right? Yep. When I was 28 years old, I probably would have done anything for an extra $2 million. At 45, if that's the sacrifice, I'm not interested, right? So your existing business should be systematized and predictable, I think, before you make, start investing too much into other things. Secondarily, I would evaluate what it's going to cost you, not only what it's going to make you, right? Because you got to take those things into factors. Is your investment leverageable? Not from the component of money wise, are you taking leverage out, but are you leveraging something you already have in place in the new investment, right? A good example of that might be, you're a dog groomer and now you're looking at becoming an affiliate for a shampoo company, a dog shampoo company.
Right.
It's leverageable. They work, there's synergy there, right? If you're a dog groomer and you're looking at investing in a bar, that's just so completely opposite, right?
Yep.
And so those are some of the things. Are you systematically predictable from an income basis before you look at something else? What's it going to cost you? Not just what's it going to make you. Are you leveraging your existing? And if you're not, that doesn't mean you can't invest in it, right? That's the beauty of turnkey real estate. Hey, you go do what you do, and I'm going to handle everything else. We're just going to send you a check. We'll manage it, right? So there are exceptions to every rule. That's in a situation you're leveraging someone else who has a proven track record. But by and large, those are some of the guidelines that I look at. When we look at growing our business, hey, we have 4 masterminds. Should we start a 5th? I have to make an investment to do that. Yep. Versus, am I going to invest in the stock market or what? I don't know anything about that. So those are some of the components that I look at. But I'm a little, as far as really answering that question on a deal perspective, for me, I'm usually looking at the individual because they're a member of our organization, and then the size of the deal, what LTV. It really depends on the structure for me.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I like that. And that's one thing that I've seen too. And it's not only just to real estate. I've come across a number of clients and folks that I've spoken to. And then, for instance, you have someone in the medical industry that's doing a fantastic job. They buy practices and they turn it around because they know the operations. They know the business inside out, right? And then they're looking at an opportunity to bring in another product line as an affiliate or licensing another medical product to all of those. And then I get the question, well, should I be investing in real estate, MC? Should I be doing this? And I'm like, stay in that lane because you're obviously an absolute ninja. If you've got an asset where you put $1 in and it spits out 5, how much money would you put in there, right? So to your point, no, that's a huge takeaway for me. So appreciate you sharing that. Now, one habit I've observed from very wealthy and successful people is that they're always studying. They're always learning new skill sets. What are you studying right now? What skill sets are you learning? And what are you excited about in 2018?
Sure. What am I studying right now? I am actually reading a book that would be considered personal and a book that would be considered business. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Okay. He was the keynote speaker at our last event in December, right? And he drew such an attention around, like a lot of people, we show up every day and I work hard, I push, I press, but the reality of it is, am I approaching my productivity from in a calculated fashion, right? Do I have a productivity structure, right, that allows me to focus on what is important, delegate what is not, and to truly have a method around productivity, right? You know, that's just such an important, especially the more you take on, the more focused you have to be on productivity, you know? And so the compound effect and, you know, that speech was about hyper productivity. That guy's interviewed some of the biggest, he was a publisher of Success Magazine. He's interviewed some of the most, you know, biggest titans in our time. And so that book is really will make you conscious of, and not only conscious, but sometimes you know, systematization and creating structures, it's hard. Right. A lot of times it's not what you like to do, but sometimes you have to slow down and create those systems, create those structures to enable you to enjoy more of what you like to do. So that is the kind of what I'm studying right now. Just ordered 3 copies of it to give to my team here in the office. I want them to read it. And then collectively, right when we're finished studying it together, we will then develop that structure that kind of sets the tone for this is how we're going to roll at the Collective Genius at our office from a productivity standpoint, right? Right. And that framework also determines how everybody's going to be measured, you know? Right. But here's the beautiful part of that is that when you read the book together, instead of just showing up one day at your office and saying, hey, here's your scorecard, here's how we're going to begin measuring you. When you read that, and you as well as your team begin to understand the importance of it, there's, hey, wow, this is important. There's buy-in versus you just being the big bad wolf and saying, you know, here's how we're doing it. Right. So that's right now what I'm looking at from a business perspective. Right now, personally, I'm reading a book. It's the 3rd time I've read it. It's one of the most impactful books I've ever read in my life. For some people, they'll think this is corny, but it's called A Return to Love. Okay. A gal named Marianne Williamson wrote it, and just the way that she breaks down how we operate from love or fear. Only two things that we are driven by, love or fear. When you fundamentally boil it down, right down to the just core raw nature of things. It's love and fear, and we're programmed from the time we're kids and to be driven by a lot of times by fear. Right. And that book just lets you see beyond that and kind of rewire yourself, you know, because I'm big around that. Right. That's one of the things that makes CG tick, our mastermind, is that hey, that's great. You flipped 700 houses last year, but who are you becoming? Who are you becoming as a leader, as a mother, as a father, as a leader in your organization, as a son, as a daughter? Who are you becoming? And that book just really reframes, like, at the end of the day, you know, love goes a long way, and so much of us forget that. Our ego, which is driven by fear, kind of, you know, that's what we default to on a regular basis. Especially as entrepreneurs, right? We're supposed to be 10 foot tall and bulletproof and not have any issues. And the reality of it is, we all do, you know. But that's just a fantastic book, man. Totally fantastic.
I'll definitely put that one on the list. Now, a core message in our show is to leave our families, communities, and the world better than we found it by passing down a mindset, values, and principles to future generations, not just money. So if you cannot pass on any money to future generations, and we're only allowed to pass on 3 principles to them to build wealth and achieve happiness and success, what would they be?
It's probably funny you asked that. I think it would be according to the books I was just talking about. For me, love is king, and I love making money. I love playing the game, right? I love moving the chess pieces, enjoy it thoroughly, love helping other people. But at the end of the day, it's not what makes us tick fundamentally. You know, I'm at a place in my life where I'm 45 years old. I've got all the boxes checked. I say that with humility, right? Not from a place of arrogance. I've got a beautiful wife. I got a happy, healthy 4-year-old. We have a fantastic new home. the cars, good business, check, 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 right? But there's something inside of you, maybe it's part of being 45, and you build a vision around all of that stuff. And one day you wake up and you kind of got it all. And then you got you realize the real work in life is in front of you, right? The real work is in front of you. And a new vision has to be crafted. And for me, at this stage of my life, it's really like, how can I be more loving? How can I be more caring? And get your hands dirty, right? In the process of being self-serving and building a business, you can get to a place where you alienate yourself from. There's a lot of people that work hard. There's a lot of people that get up every day and grind, and they'll never have what you have, and it's just how life works. And don't forget to get your hands dirty and help other people. And that's the second thing, is serve at all times. It's pretty difficult to mess up success in life if you're willing to serve people, you know? I kind of do that unconsciously, but when we got on the call, you know, you're like, hey, what do you want to cover off on today? I just said, hey, dude, I'm here to serve you and your audience, right?
Right.
I think if you can approach life in that fashion, it's going to be pretty hard to mess up having a successful life in all capacities. Serving your customer, serving your spouse, serving your child. It's pretty hard to mess up. It's just how the world works. If you give with an open heart, it will be given back to you, right? And the other thing that I would leave with is, and this is kind of a brutal reality, right? A lot of success is equally as challenging as a lot of failure. So if you kind of have that thought of, one day I'm gonna sit on the beach and drink my Corona, and the sun's gonna set every night, and my wife and kids are gonna love each other, never fight, and everything's just gonna be blissful, and I'll be a cajillionaire. And the reality of it is life, no matter what you have, what you don't have, how much money you're making, how much you're not making, who you're married to, who you're not, no matter what, life is going to be challenging. And so if you're in a spot, where you think that you look at people and they got all the boxes checked and they got this and that, and just know that is equally as challenging as, being on the other end of the flagpole,
Yeah.
It's not all glory. And so I think that that's something I'd probably share. If I could just leave some wisdom, right?
Absolutely.
Are those things.
Appreciate it. Jason, where can my listeners follow you? Where can they learn more about your mastermind and stay informed of all of the projects that you're involved with? I'm not a big social media guy. I don't have Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. And so if you'd love to learn more about me or our mastermind, you can just simply go to thecollectivegenius.com. Again, it's thecollectivegenius.com. We have plenty of information there, and we have a process. If you're interested in, you got to kind of fill out an application, then we get on the call and talk about it and see if we're the right fit. It's very laid back. There's no push, no pressure. We're looking at you as much as you're looking at us, and just seeing if we can help each other. So that's where you go. That's the site. It's been a pleasure today being on the podcast, and I look forward to doing it again sometime. Yeah, absolutely. This was fantastic. I really appreciate you, appreciate your time, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey and your knowledge and providing so much value for my listeners.
All right. Thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me again on the Cashflow Ninja, and thank you for all of your support. You rock. If you like what you hear and appreciate what we're trying to build here at the Cashflow Ninja, please subscribe, rate, and review our show on iTunes, and share our show with family, friends, and your network. If you're not a subscriber to the Cashflow Ninja Gosh Good newsletter, you can sign up for our newsletter at cashflowninja.com or text Cashflow Ninja to 44222. Life settlement investments have allowed financial and banking institutions to not only buy their equity contractually, but also diversify their capital from any economic, market, and geopolitical risk. It's been part of the billion-dollar blueprint followed by institutional investors. And if you're an accredited investor, you now can also participate in this vehicle with enormous growth potential. You can watch an informational webinar presented by one of the premier organizations providing life settlement investments, Penumbra Solutions, at cashflowninja.com crypto.com/live settlements. Blockchain technologies and cryptocurrencies will not only disrupt money, but every industry on the planet. These new innovations and technologies will affect every area of our lives in the future. The cryptocurrency course teaches you everything you need to know about getting started and profiting with cryptocurrencies, and also includes expert training from the top crypto experts in the world. You will learn about how to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrencies, how to safely store your crypto, how to become a sound investor, even if you're just a beginner, and how to apply blockchain technology to your business. You can watch a free crypto masterclass and grab the crypto course at cashflowninja.com/crypto course. The wealthiest investors on the planet know how to capture their wealth and leverage it to perpetually grow it. If you're interested in learning the premier strategies of the wealthiest individuals and families on the planet, you can access your free webinar at cashflowninja.com/be the bank. That's our show for today, everyone. Until next time, live a life of passion and purpose on your terms. This presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. The information being presented and considered does not consider your particular financial objectives or situation, and it does not make personalized recommendations. This material is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax and legal advisor or other qualified professionals, and you should not use the information in place of a customized consultation with a licensed professional regarding your specific personal financial objectives, situation, and needs. We believe the information provided is reliable, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, timeliness, or completeness.